Hello there, my name is Arden Guffin. With me is Austin Adams. Sadly today, Danielle Williams could not be present due to a medical emergency. But we are the JL Marine Capstone Group, and here is our executive presentation. Alright, like I said before, my name is Arden Guffin. Everybody on the team is a business analyst. Austin here probably has experience over at Lockheed Martin, and Danielle has current experience with Amazon, and I've had an internship with W.S. Badcock in their HR department. And a brief overview of the project that was given to us last semester. JL Marine has tasked us with redesigning the warehouse layout and optimizing their pick-pack processes. Along with that, they wanted us to identify problematic areas and bottlenecking issues, along with curating a one-piece flow of their goods. Some of the deliverables that was given to us was to provide a full breakdown of the baseline of our operations, solutions for operational flow and overall optimization, and at the end, presenting the key findings today with you. For an example, one of the major products that we had to focus on was the power pole. Pictured in this presentation is the two 10-foot black blade series. Here's an adapter plate, a major component that we had to take into account when reorganizing the full warehouse and creating new pick path solutions. The current state of the warehouse is that JL Marine currently does not want to rely on any third-party logistics companies or subcontractors, so everything is done internally. But on that note, there's no current warehouse management system in place, so there is current disorganization from production to supply. This is all very important because JL Marine is currently experiencing rapid growth and ever-increasing sales even throughout the pandemic. With their new product releases that they intend to implement and the current state of the warehouse, they are at a severe risk of paralyzing their entire operation. Now I'll take it off to Austin, who will cover the baseline of our operations.
So the baseline of operations started with the current build history. So what we did with this is we took all of the manufacturing and from the Excel file, and we broke this down using R and RStudio. This first slide that looks at all of the different product types. So as we can see here from the image shown on the screen, the power pole is truly the bread and butter of JL Marine. This is the #1 product that JL Marine is producing at over 40,000 units done from the data collection period. And supported with this is also the plate kits and its different variants, as we know that plate kits are vital to attaching the power pole to the different boats and the engine configurations. Next is looking at the power poles manufactured by month. So what this is doing is it's driving insights to seeing if there is a consistency to the operations. All manufacturing decisions dictate warehouse movement. And as we can see here on the next screen, we broke this down by high volume power pole SKUs. So for instance, the Blade Series 10 is one that JL Marine is producing the most. However, in November and December, we see really low volume. So that raises a lot of questions. Is that holiday impact, or is there supply chain constraints? On the next slide is the overview. And this is also captured in the HTML file that was sent over. So as a reminder, manufacturing dictates warehouse movement. All decisions that are being made at the top affect how the warehouse operates. And so therefore, a refined manufacturing plan is a continued key to success. So that way, with being able to refine it, we can therefore make a more consistent flow on how the warehouse is going to operate. And lastly, we got to vet the plate kits and its variants, so that way we can determine which products are truly being helpful to JL Marine's continued success and revenue in sales. Next, we also needed to understand and create a naming convention. So as indicated on the slide, so next we need to talk about the naming conventions, since all of our operations were done in analyzing the pick path processes. So as you can see here on the screen, every aisle has an alphabetical letter. So we have A, B, C, D, E, and F as well. And then to denote which side of the aisle you're on and looking down, 1 indicates the left-hand side and 2 indicates the right-hand side. Then to determine the shelving unit that we are at, it goes back. So A would be the very shelving unit at the back, and then B would be progressing forward down the aisle. But then since we're not operating on a 2D sphere, but also needing to take into consideration the height of the shelving unit, 1 indicates the ground floor, 2 is the second shelf, and likewise. We also added another indicator, such as a W, indicating that component takes up the entire space of the bin. L would indicate the left, R would indicate the right. So providing an example, if I told you I was at A1A1W, I'm in the top left corner of the warehouse, and that component is operating the entire unit on the ground floor. But we needed this so that we could allocate locations for the pick path processes, which Arden is going to talk about.
Thank you, Austin. All right, so going forward with the pick pack processes, the first thing that we did on our first site visit at JL Marine was shadow one of the workers, Saul. We took a clipboard and a timer, stopwatch, and we just followed him throughout his entire pick path. Using that data, we went forward and transferred it into Simulate. So as you can see, the blue lines indicate where Saul was walking with a smart cart. The yellow lines indicate where he was using a forklift to grab the items that he needed. The little gearboxes are the things that denote what item and action was occurring. Going forward again with that, we followed another worker named Wendell, and I believe he was getting the PowerPole Black 10-foot series. Going forward with that, you can see that Wendell's pick path processes was similar, but definitely way different, and that's one of the key issues that we found going forward with how everybody collects everything. Pass it off to you for the key findings.
So some of the key findings from this pick path analysis is that we saw there was a lot of challenges with shipping and receiving, and that's indicated by a lot of the horizontal movement across the bottom of the warehouse. There's also non-value added activities that are occurring. For instance, the spikes and the cylinder blades are coming in unsharpened, and as a result, the warehouse associates are going to have to go and sharpen them manually. With an average build being 105 units, the time that it took to grind each spike individually to quality measurements was about half an hour, but that also ranged to about 45 minutes. There's also a lot of opportunities for shelving unit improvements. There are some shelving units where they were completely empty that were not being utilized. There was other units that had garbage that was just stacked in the pallets. And there was also other instances where there was rejected hardware that had some sort of defect that were still needing to be sent back to the vendor for correction. And as you could see in the visualization of the pick path processes, there was a lot of distance traveled for the operators, and this took about an hour and a half to 2 hours for them to complete a successful pull. Next, we did the volumetric data collection. So this is an example of what occurred on the screen. So it took the code, so as you can see here, the adapter plates is what we're looking at, and going back with that naming convention, A1, H1, so that way we're able to determine where exactly in the warehouse these components were being housed, so that way we could tailor a solution that was specific to JL Marine. Also on this was how much space that component was taking up, so that way when we went and did the reallocation, it would fit in the designated area. So with the baseline of operations being complete and presented, you may ask us, so now what? What does this mean? What are your solutions? So we had 3 separate tiers of solutions. The first one that we're looking at is quick solutions, and the team believes that these could be implemented rather quickly. Looking specifically at bundling, boxes and up and down hoses, if they are red or blue cables, could be easily bundled. This way, employees do not have to go and individually count every single hose or every single box. They could use this in sets of 15 and therefore only grab 7 or 8 bundles. So this makes it really quick for acquisition. Another thing that could be relatively implemented quick is having honest conversations with vendors. For instance, the spikes were not being arrived in the proper condition because the employees are therefore having to go and grind them. These are not value add activities in the baseline of operations. So we need to ensure that the vendors are shipping the components in the proper form. Some medium-term solutions is that revised manufacturing plan. Manufacturing dictates warehouse movement. So ensuring that we have a consistent flow is important and essential into being consistent with warehouse operations. And that's also discussed in the HTML file that we have sent with this. Furthermore, another medium-term solution is metric trackers. All of this data that is being talked about from the team has been collected by the team. So there was no previous information or data for us to use. Furthermore, This provides a baseline, but also we can create, competitions or, alignment with the Red Knuckle program so that employees really feel that they are adding value to the team, their ideas are being heard, and that they're collectively pushing the company forward for continued success and growth. And lastly, the meat and potatoes of this project is the long-term solution, such as the warehouse realignment, which is bin spaces and flow optimization. But we also want to mention that change management will be required from the JL Marine executive team. Our solutions and any potential alterations are only good so long that it is sustainable. We have to ensure that these solutions continue forward and are a part of JL Marine's culture. So on the screen here is one example of the PowerPole Sportsman 8 series in our solution going forward. As you can see, there is no movement from the left-hand side of the warehouse. Everything has been condensed to the right-hand side. And it is important to note that this solution captures bundling, as well as the conversations with vendors and the revised manufacturing plan. And with all of this, we can look at the comparison between the two. On the left-hand side of the screen is what JL Marine currently operates at. As you can see, and as a reminder, there is a lot of movement from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the warehouse. And this also results in conflicts with shipping and receiving, as well as the other departments. On the right-hand side, you can see that's really been all streamlined and everything is really tight. And as a result of these process alterations, the team is confident in our belief that it can result in an 83% decrease in the amount of time that it currently takes for any warehouse associate to do a pull or an order.
If I may note, that the reason we were able to create the solution of consolidating everything to the right side of the warehouse was the team's effort to collect and create volumetric data from all the shelving units we were able to observe on the left-hand side with raw materials and such. By taking this volumetric data and then comparing it with the shelving units, we noticed that there's a lot of waste happening within the shelves, whether it was the instances of trash up in the shelving units or just empty space. We noticed that on the right-hand side, if organized properly, everything could fit, leading to this, radical change.
So to give an overview, so all of the work that has been done since August is honestly for us to be curious, ask questions, and allow the JL Marine executive team to work any challenges. There's an abundance of opportunities to risk the company's paralyzation, and we truly believe that the solutions that we are providing will enable the company for continued success and growth. Another thing we'd like to point out is that the JL employees have excellent solutions. A lot of our findings and a lot of the confirmations that we had actually came from them. So we would like to welcome you to embrace their ideas and the change. With that, we'd like to thank you so much for listening to our executive presentation, and thank you so much for the time and the opportunity.
Thank you.